93, everyone, and this is Qesheth again uh, with the next in a series of talks I've been doing entitled The Major Arcana and the Paths of Return, talking about the path of initiation, the path of return as revealed in the cards of the Major Arcana of the Tarot. If you haven't been following these classes, I started with, of course, past 32 or 31, uh, however you want to, the different numbers for that path. The world or universe card, and I worked our way up the tree of life, discussing the paths and the various energy of the paths and the experiences of the paths. Again, the paths are subjective, meaning that it's our experience of the spiritual. And so if you've been following these talks I've been doing, I've been talking about the path of return. Uh, Last time I did the path of the Emperor, which leads from Hakma, will, wisdom, the sphere of the zodiac, into Tippereth, our spiritual center. I failed to mention that he sits in the symbol of sulfur, the triangle and cross. But tonight, or this evening, it's evening here in Texas, I'm here in Texas, we'll be talking about path number 14, which connects Hakma, will, with Binah, understanding the Great Mother. We'll start with a reading from the Sefer Yetzirah. The 14th path is the illuminating intelligence and is so called because it is that brilliant one, which is the founder of the concealed and fundamental ideas of holiness and of their stages of preparation. So it is that brilliant one. Okay? The founder of the concealed. And fundamental ideas of holiness and their stages of preparation. Preparation as these images come into manifestation. Again, it's path number 14. To the Empress here. The tarot title for this card is the Daughter of the Mighty Ones. It is the illuminating intelligence. So the path title is the illuminating intelligence. So it takes the light of Hakma and illuminates the images. She contains the archetypes, the images coming out of the supernals. The Hebrew letter for this path is Daleth, meaning a door. It's a planetary letter. We talked about that I talked about that in previous talks, where you have 7 planetary cards, 12 zodiacal, and 4 elemental. So the planetary cards generally have double meanings, and the double letter meaning is wisdom and folly. The planetary path again is ruled by Venus. It connects Hakma, will, in the sphere of the zodiac, with Binah, wisdom and understanding, the great father and the great mother of creation. It is the mediating path of the supreme spiritual self. This path is above the abyss. At this point, the initiate is crossing the veil into nominal reality. And once you pass that veil, the experience is being like bombarded with all these archetypes, all these images that have not yet come into manifestation, that are gestating here on the path of the Empress. Okay. She is the universal womb wherein all things gestate. This is one of the 3 reciprocal paths. The others are the path of Pe, Mars, the path of Leo, the sun, and here we have the path of Venus, Daleth. When you add up the numerical values for the letters of these paths, Pe is 80, Teth is 9, and Daleth is 3. It actually enumerates to 93. Uh, the value in Greek of both the lema, will, and agape, love. Another interesting thing to point out, because we're always talking about the balancing of the opposites in alchemy. Here we have Mars, we have Venus and their unity, the supreme spiritual self, the sun, Leo. So that's just something to point out, that something to look at. She is the doorway where these ideas become manifest. Her doorway is both the way into and out of nominal reality, the becoming and the returning. Uh, this path, Daleth, and the path of the magician, as well as the priestess, also find their expressions in the Sephiroth, Venus, Hod, and the moon, where their expression is their expressions within objective reality. So Netzach, Venus, is Mother Nature, let's just say nature unveiled, or brought into manifestation. This is a path where the images are gestating, waiting to be brought into manifestation. Okay. Netzach is the denser aspect of this path. And again, it's where these images come into manifestation. Here in this path, they're gestating. They are just images. They're archetypes. They're ideas. The initial ideas. She contains all the initial ideas of Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Or that are brought into Kether. She contains all those ideas within her, all those images, waiting to give birth to them into manifestation. Okay, so she is Mother Nature. She's the virgin priestess here, impregnated by the will of the magician, the Magi. She actually encapsulates spirit. She represents law and restriction. The symbol for Venus, because she represents love also. So the symbol for Venus, I drew it here, encompasses the entire tree of life, pointing out that love is the law, love under will. And here I like to always refer back again to the carbon atom. So the love of the universe, the binding, the seeking of binding with other things, that that binding force of the universe, that love of the universe. I always think about the carbon atom that has 4 electrons in its valence shell and needs 8 to be stable. So it's always seeking to bind with other atoms. So kind of think about that, how material reality is made up of these atoms that are always seeking to bind with other atoms. This binding force is the act of love. Again, she's the luminous intelligence filled with the light of Chokmah. Crowley says she is dazzling and illusionary. The student who is dazzled by any given manifestation may be led astray. In no other card is it so necessary to disregard the parts and to concentrate upon the whole. So she is the splendor, or the victory, the victory of nature, the awe-inspiring splendor of nature, but it's so easy to become bedazzled, illusioned by the material world, and forget to seek that which is behind it. She sits before the veil of the abyss. And again, this is the abyss that separates the nominal from The nominal from the phenomenal worlds. Now, when we look at this tree of life, it doesn't mean that this is somewhere up there in the heavens. You know how people want to point to the heavens. This all exists within ourselves. The tree of life is both an image or a categorizing, I can't even talk, a filing system. Let me just say that, a filing system of the microcosm and macrocosm, the macrocosm and the microcosm. So if you back up into the tree of life, it is Adam Kadmon. So this is the spiritual makeup, your spiritual makeup. So this is not somewhere off in the heavens. This is within you, at the atomic core of your being, that you have been seeking to reach through all the hard work you have been doing on these earlier paths. Okay, so what I want to do now is kind of look at the cards real quick. Excuse me, I've also got my notes over here on my laptop. I've learned to do that. So anyway, she is also the storehouse of the images of the super unconscious that reside within our psyche. So there is a difference between the super unconscious and the personal unconscious. But the personal unconscious veils the super unconscious. So the problem with tapping into the super unconscious and some of the images there is that our personal unconscious is so cluttered with all the repressed memories, events, shameful things, all the different things we think we can just, sweep away into the closet and close the door. But the initiate knows, oh, well, guess what? As we start doing this work, the door is flung wide open, and we're forced to confront the shadows of our unconscious. But that's okay, because as we confront them and we overcome them and balance them and come to harmony with them, we begin to clear this muck away. And so the messages, the images of the super unconscious are more allowed to freely flow within us in our dreams and visions. So alchemically, she represents salt energized by sulfur to maintain the equilibrium of the universe. In Waite's card, we'll kind of look at the cards a little bit here. I'll hold it up here so you can see it. Let me get it up here in the camera. Okay, so we look at Waite's card. She is the Empress. She is Mother Nature, Isis. And we'll point out some of the symbols in this card. We have the we have this grain, Virgo, which is a mutable sign of Earth, and also referring to Mercury. Mercury being will. And she represents the manifested will. She has a shield with the symbol of Venus upon it. Her robe is covered with crescents and roses, okay, showing the feminine aspect, and also roses are attributed to Venus. On her head, she has a crown. Of course, she is the Empress of 12 stars, referring back again to will, the will of Hakma being manifested, the will of the supernals being manifested. Hakma is the sphere of the zodiac. She carries a scepter here with an orb showing her dominion over the created universe. Okay? And see in the background right here, this river, this stream, that stream actually starts out on the path of the high priestess. And if you'll see it, if you look closely at Waite's Major Arcana cards, you'll see this stream flowing in all of them, showing the influence of the supernals upon all levels of creation, also the electromagnetic substance that makes up all of creation. She is pregnant. You can't hardly see it as well in Waite's card. Because these are images that are gestating. They have not yet come into manifestation. There are many steps yet to come into manifestation as the ideas become The ideas of pure that are pure energy become denser as they come into physical manifestation. Okay. Uh, we'll kind of look at the at Crowley's card real quick. A little more complex, but his cards always are. Uh, this deck here is not as well colored as some of the decks I've seen. So I'm going to try to do the best to point out some of this stuff here. She is surrounded by worlds of growth here, all these worlds of growth and activity. Uh, she is crowned by the orb and the Maltese cross that the emperor holds. Okay, so she is the queen, she is the princess. This is her dominion. He holds, he holds the emperor holds the orb in his left hand, the feminine side, and so it more shows his control over the images coming through. Whereas in this one, she is the ruler of these images. She is the source of these images. Well, not really the source, but the regulator, the mother of them. Okay, on her shield is the double-headed eagle, but her eagle is white, where the emperor's was red, showing the milk of magnesia or the astral substance of the universe. Also, the purified instinct. And so there's different ways to look at that. I call it the milk of her paps, so to speak. The milk of magnesia, the electromagnetic substance of the universe that feeds creation. We have the pelican feeding its young from its breast here. This is a very complex symbol. It's kind of funny because the ancients actually believed that the pelican, the bird itself, pierced its breast and fed its young for its own blood. Because the way the pelican tilts its head when feeding its young, it's actually regurgitating things out of its pouch. It's the pouch in its, I guess you call it a pouch. Anyway, but it's a very complex symbol, and so Crowley talks about the symbology being revealed to the fifth degree members of the OTO. But it's the great mother that nurtures creation with the very recycled energy of creation. I'm reminded of Venus Saturn, who devours his children. Saturn, who, showing the recycling of energy. So think about the praying mantis who consumes the male energy to create new life. She is the door of life and death. So this is an interesting concept behind the pelican. Though she is sacrificing her own life force to feed her young creation, it is also that same life force that came into manifestation and has returned. So this is a recycling of the energy. I hope that makes sense to you. I'm trying to kind of put that in simple terms. She bears the lotus wand of Isis, showing rulership over nature. Okay, here. And again, this particular deck is not as clear. She sits in the alchemical symbol for salt, as the emperor sat in the symbol for sulfur. Her cards also show the fleur de lis here, showing the male creative energy still at work. And here you see it. He says it adores the secret cross. This symbol that is born from this union, like the rose cross. The waning and waxing crescents show the cycles of nature, becoming, being, and returning. So everything that flows out of the supernals eventually returns. And so everything in the universe energy is completely recycled. You will be recycled. Consciousness, your consciousness and your energy. So the energy that makes up your body and the atoms, those things will be recycled back into creation. And so everything feeds on everything else, and this continuous spiral of becoming, being and returning. Okay. She and the emperor are shown in profile. See. Okay, so she's facing the left and he's facing the right. Showing her she's facing the feminine side, but also profile is a symbol for Kether, showing that only one side is revealed. The other is hidden. We talked about that, being dazzled by the images of nature, but not understanding that it is a veil. And so I remember the statue of Isis that says, "No man shall lift my veil," referring to the person who has given all in the great work. So she sits before, here in the back, it's kind of a doorway. Let me get this card straight again. You see this? She sits in this doorway. That is the veil of the abyss that is closed, to normal day reality. You see a sparrow and a dove here, and I really don't know which is which, I'll be honest with you. The art on that's not too good, but they are also birds of Venus. Again, she represents love for her creation. Okay. I think that's about all the symbology I see there. And so Waite's card is beautiful, showing the fecundity of the Empress. She is pregnant with the images waiting to be born into manifestation. In a nutshell, this card represents our ability to take the images coming from the unconscious and bring them into manifestation. But remember, before we can successfully work with the images of the unconscious, we must have refined our reasoning faculty through the work done on the earlier paths. Most people's wills are programmed to the lower nature. So they're unable to manifest anything. They're too busy serving the lower nature of their beings, which continues to how the body is. It always has more and more demands. So most people's wills are programmed to the lower nature. Through the great work, we can begin to manifest according to our will and not serve the lower nature. We'll look at real quick. Look at the attributions from 777. Give me just a second. My computer just is. Okay, there it is. The color in the king scale is emerald green. The stones are emerald and turquoise. Plants are myrtle, rose, and clover. The animals are the sparrow, dove, and swans. Magical power are love potions. The perfumes are sandalwood, myrtle, and soft, voluptuous odors. The magical weapon, the girdle. Some of the god forms for this path are Hathor, Aphrodite, Freya, and Venus. So to kind of recap, again, she connects Hakma with Bina. She sits at the veil of the abyss. She contains all the images of the supernals waiting for manifestation. Within us, she represents our ability to take the images of the unconscious and bring them into manifestation. Because if you think about this, okay, think about this in your will. Everything begins with a thought. Where does that thought come from? There are many meditations that teach us what? To trace our thoughts back to the source. And in doing this, we can come to the root of reality. So everything in the manifested universe, when you look around you, everything that you see is manifested thought. How good are you at manifesting your thoughts? That's what the great work is about. It's about So I always see us, like I talked about in earlier talks, as like the layers of an onion. As we do the great work, we peel off all these layers until we finally reach the spiritual core of our being, and that is Kether. So, like I like to think about Crowley. He talks about how most people's wills are divided by so many hundreds of things every day that they can't possibly manifest. Uh, they just can't possibly manifest with any efficiency in their lives. Just in Liber Libre, it talks about what a fixed thought can do. If a random thought can have much effect, what can a fixed thought do? So, through these works and through meditation and the various practices that I talked about in the earlier paths of the personality, uh, you are able to focus yourself, focus your thoughts, examine the images of your unconscious, clean up clean up all this garbage that you have in your unconscious, and make yourself a vehicle. The temple must be made ready before the God can indwell. The next time I do one of these talks, I will actually be doing the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess in one talk. I thought about because these are very complex cards because they exist above the abyss. It means it's far beyond our phenomenal understanding. And so I'm going to do those three cards together because they're so interrelated. I hope that these talks are doing you some good. If there's anything else you want me to point out about these cards, please leave it in the comments and I'll get back with you. Once I finish this series of talks, which will be soon, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a talk on the I Ching, another one of my favorite oracles. We will finish this talk with a writing from Crowley. This is the harmony of the universe, that love unites the will to create with the understanding of that creation. Understand thou thine own will. Love and let love. Rejoice in every shape of love, and get thy rapture and thy nourishment thereof. That's beautiful. I love this. This is the harmony of the universe, that love unites will. Love unites will to create with the understanding of the universe. Isn't that beautiful? I hope this helped you to understand this card better. And for now, I will say 93. Thank you.